It seems like the cicadas are particularly loud this morning, and I hear a little bit of hammering. Hopefully, it won't be too distracting. So we are ready for chapter 27. I'm going to read the very tail end of 26 again. I finished with that yesterday because it had switched from talking about Isaac back to the boys, Jacob and Esau. And so the very end of 26 says, when Esau was 40 years old, he married Judith, daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and also Basemath, daughter of Elon the Hittite. They were a source of grief to Isaac and Rebekah. And so he married Hittite women, and apparently it wasn't a pleasant situation for his parents. So chapter 27, when Isaac was old and his eyes were so weak that he could no longer see, he called for Esau, his older son, and said to him, "My son." "Here I am," he answered. Isaac said, "I am now an old man and don't know the day of my death. Now then, get your equipment, your quiver and bow, and go out to the open country to hunt some wild game for me. Prepare me the kind of tasty food I like and bring it to me so that I may give you my blessing before I die." Now Rebekah was listening as Isaac spoke to his son Esau. When Esau left for the open country to hunt game and bring it back, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, "Look, I overheard your father say to your brother Esau, 'Bring me some game and prepare me some tasty food to eat so that I may give you my blessing in the presence of the Lord before I die.' Now my son, listen carefully and do what I tell you. Let me remind you that we heard when the boys were born and as they were growing up that Isaac loved Esau and Rebekah loved Jacob. They both have their favorites, and the boys are very different. We've already seen Jacob do something very sneaky, and that was to take his brother's rights of the firstborn. I don't know if it was that sneaky or if Esau was just not that bright, because it shouldn't have been as easy as it was for him to get what he wanted. He just traded all of his rights as the firstborn for some soup. So go out to the flock and bring me 2 choice young goats so I can prepare some tasty food for your father just the way he likes it. Then take it to your father to eat so that he may give you his blessing before he dies." Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, "But my brother Esau is a hairy man while I have smooth skin. What if my father touches me? I would appear to be tricking him and would bring down a curse on myself rather than a blessing." His mother said to him, "My son, let the curse fall on me. Just do what I say. Go and get them for me." So he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and she prepared some tasty food just the way his father liked it. Then Rebekah took the best clothes of Esau, her older son, which she had in the house, and put them on her younger son, Jacob. She also covered his hands and the smooth part of his neck with the goat skins. That's pretty hairy. Esau must have been pretty hairy. Then she handed to her son Jacob the tasty food and the bread she had made. He went to his father and said, "My father." "Yes, my son," he answered. "Who is it?" Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Please sit up and eat some of my game so that you may give me your blessing." Isaac asked his son, "How did you find it so quickly, my son?" "The Lord your God gave me success," he replied. Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Come near so I can touch you, my son, to know whether you really are my son Esau or not." Jacob went close to his father Isaac, who touched him and said, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau." He did not recognize him, for his hands were hairy like those of his brother Esau. So he proceeded to bless him. "Are you really my son Esau?" he asked. "I am," Jacob replied. Then he said, "My son, bring me some of your game to eat so that I may give you my blessing." Jacob brought it to him, and he ate. And he brought some wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, "Come here, my son, and kiss me." So he went to him and kissed him. When Isaac caught the smell of his clothes, he blessed him and said, "Ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed." Remember, he's wearing his brother's clothes. "May God give you heaven's dew and earth's richness, an abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you and people bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed." After Isaac finished blessing him and Jacob had scarcely left his father's presence, his brother Esau came in from hunting. He too prepared some tasty food and brought it to his father. Then he said to him, "My father, please sit up and eat some of my game, so that you may give me your blessing." His father Isaac asked him, "Who are you?" "I'm your son," he answered, "your firstborn, Esau." Isaac trembled violently and said, "Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me? I ate it just before you came, and I blessed him, and indeed he will be blessed." When Esau heard his father's words, he burst out with a loud and bitter cry and said to his father, "Bless me too, my father." But he said, "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing." Esau said, "Isn't he rightly named Jacob? This is the second time he has taken advantage of me. He took my birthright, and now he's taken my blessing." Then he asked, "Haven't you reserved any blessing for me?" Isaac answered Esau, "I have made him lord over you, and have made all his relatives his servants, and I have sustained him with grain and new wine. So what can I possibly do for you, my son?" Esau said to his father, "Do you have only one blessing, my father?" "Bless me too, my father." Then Esau wept aloud. His father Isaac answered him, "Your dwelling will be away from the earth's richness, away from the dew of heaven above. You will live by the sword, and you will serve your brother. But when you grow restless, you will throw his yoke from off your neck." Esau held a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him. He said to himself, "The days of mourning for my father are near. Then I will kill my brother Jacob." When Rebekah was told what her older son Esau had said, she sent for her younger son Jacob and said to him, "Your brother Esau is planning to avenge himself by killing you. Now then, my son, do what I say. Flee at once to my brother Laban in Haran. Stay with him for a while until your brother's fury subsides. When your brother is no longer angry with you and forgets what you did to him, I'll send word for you to come back from there. Why should I lose both of you in one day?" Then Rebekah said to Isaac, "I'm disgusted with living because of these Hittite women. If Jacob takes a wife from among the women of this land, from Hittite women like these, my life will not be worth living." The mother-in-law, talking about her daughters-in-law, Esau's wives. So she wants someone different for Jacob. So we'll go on with one more chapter, 28. So Isaac called for Jacob and blessed him. Then he commanded him, "Do not marry a Canaanite woman. Go at once to Paddan Aram, which is what we've seen before, to the house of your mother's father Bethuel. Take a wife for yourself there from among the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother." So back to the place where previously the servant found a wife for Isaac, the wife Rebekah. "May God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and increase your numbers until you become a community of people. May he give you and your descendants the blessing given to Abraham, so that you may take possession of the land where you now reside as a foreigner, the land God gave to Abraham." Then Isaac sent Jacob on his way, and he went to Paddan Aram, to Laban, son of Bethuel, the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, who was the mother of Jacob and Esau. Now Esau learned that Isaac had blessed Jacob and had sent him to Padan Aram to take a wife from there, and that when he blessed him, he commanded him, do not marry a Canaanite woman, and that Jacob had obeyed his father and mother and had gone to Padan Aram. Esau then realized how displeasing the Canaanite women were to his father Isaac. He didn't realize. So he went to Ishmael and married Mahalath, the sister of Nebaioth. No, I'm not pronouncing that right, sorry. And daughter of Ishmael, son of Abraham, in addition to the wives he already had. So he's adding more Canaanite women, including that of his uncle, great uncle, I guess it would be. No, it'd be his uncle, Ishmael, Isaac's brother, who has been sent away, the son of Hagar, the maidservant. So now Esau is just being difficult. He is being specifically and intentionally disobedient to his parents. Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. When he reached a certain place, he stopped for the night because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones there, he put it under his head and lay down to sleep. He had a dream in which he saw a stairway resting on the earth, with its top reaching to heaven, and the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. There above it stood the Lord, and he said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham, and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are lying. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south. All people on earth will be blessed through you and your offspring. I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. So this promise that God had given Abraham was passed down to his son Isaac, and now is being passed down, that covenant, down to the grandson of Abraham, the son of Isaac, Jacob. When Jacob awoke from his sleep, he thought, surely the Lord is in this place, and I was not aware of it. He was afraid and said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven. Early the next morning, Jacob took the stone he had placed under his head, and he set it up as a pillar and poured oil on top of it. He called that place Bethel, though the city used to be called Luz. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, if God will be with me and will watch over me on this journey I am taking and will give me food to eat and clothes to wear, so that I return safely to my father's household, then the Lord will be my God, and this stone that I have set up as a pillar will be God's house. And of all that you give me, I will give you a tenth, promising to tithe to God. So God's made promises to Jacob. Jacob's made promises to God. And I just want to share some history with you. The ordination chair that is used in Great Britain and the UK has under it, or it did, I think it's been returned now to probably the Vatican, but to a place where it would belong. The stone that Jacob had under his head. And so when we hear these stories, sometimes we just think, well, nice story, it's just a story that's been passed down. No, there's evidence. These things that were precious things, and people would have looked upon this stone for years because they knew Jacob, and then they knew the stories of Jacob, and those scriptures were handed down for generations and generations and generations, so they could go see these things that are talked about in the scriptures. And so it makes sense that whenever it was taken away from its site, whoever knew what it was, and when they would transfer it to another person, they would tell them what it was. And so that's where it ended up, is under that coronation chair. That's it for today. We'll see what happens with Jacob tomorrow. So have a good day. Hey, I just wanted to add a little bit to the end of today's, because I came inside and I wanted to look up and see where that coronation stone had come from, to remind myself of the whole story. And so I found that it was used for coronations in Scotland for many, 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 many centuries. And then it eventually ended up in Westminster Abbey at the very end of the 1200s, so 1296, I think, and was used then in coronations in the UK until 1996, I think. We returned it, or they returned it to Scotland, and it was brought back to be used in Charles' coronation just a few years back. So that's the only time they'll have it in Westminster Abbey, is during coronation. So we might see it again. I'm sure we'll see it again in our lifetimes. So just wanted to share that with you to make sure you had the right information. It is in Edinburgh Castle in Scotland, and you can go see it there. All right, we'll talk to you later.